The consideration of the 2022 budget estimates entered day 2 on Tuesday. Where under scrutiny from members of the opposition, the government was made once again to defend its proposed spending in the 2022 national budget. Now, what we really have been seeing over yesterday and today is allocations being approved for specific ministries, sectors and agencies. And all of this is being done before the budget is passed in full later this week. Myself and my colleague Vishani Ragobeer continued to pay attention to the consideration of those estimates, and we focused on specific sectors. The considerations opened on Tuesday with the agriculture sector, where $28.7 billion has already been approved for that sector and that ministries and the agencies that fall under the Ministry of Agriculture. Now, what we really saw this morning is a long and lengthy discussion and the opposition asking a lot of questions on the government's proposed allocation of $6 billion for the Guyana Sugar Corporation, and we'll take a short look at that exchange.
Just to clarify, the Honourable Minister is saying that over the last 18 months the bond was exhausted.
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Chair, when we took government, $3.8 billion remain out of the $30 billion that they had. $3.8 billion.
Thank you. Honourable Member, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I would just like to get some clarity from the Honourable Minister. On the same line item, after spending over $30 billion of taxpayers' monies on reopening of these estates, could the Honourable Minister state what date or what period in this year would Rosal Estate be reopened?
Thank you, Honourable Minister.
Mr. Chair, I answered that question at nauseam already. It's a work in progress. We can't say when we are preparing the reopening of Rosal Estate. There are a number of works that we have to do.
Another sector that was examined in great detail today was the Ministry of Natural Resources. Now, of course, there are quite a few subsectors that fall under the broad umbrella of natural resources. There's forestry, there's mining, and of course, there's the oil and gas sector. Now, the oil and gas sector, particularly under what was called petroleum management, came under great scrutiny, with Opposition Parliamentarian David Patterson really cracking down and trying to get the finer details of some of the massive allocations that have gone to petroleum management. And of course, in response, the Minister of Natural Resources, Vikram Bharat, would have indicated that large sums are going to sort of strengthening institutional capacity and doing some of the things that have been talked about in the local media for weeks. So, for example, a $10.7 million allocation has gone to starting the process of the cost recovery audits for the Stabroek block for the period 2018 to 2020. Now, of course, this is something that has been asked about in the Parliament for a number of weeks now, and Minister Bharat has given the clearest indication that this $10.7 million sum will now be used to start that process, and it will be using a consortium of local auditors in partnership with an international auditing company. In addition to that, he mentioned that $88 million will be going to the analysis and the evaluation of a new development plan, the field development plan for Uaru, which of course would be ExxonMobil's 5th development plan. Already, production has started in the Liza Phase 1 plan. Production is expected to start in Liza Phase 2. And then there's also Payara and Yellowtail coming on stream soon after. Finally, the final thing I wanted to mention about the natural resources considerations would be the $20 million that has gone to the Local Content Secretariat. Now, of course, you know that with the historic local content law that was recently passed, it provides for the establishment of a local content secretariat that sort of encompasses all of the local businesses that can participate in the oil and gas industry. And so $20 million has been set aside and approved now, actually, for the setting up of that secretariat and just getting things in order.
Following the break at lunch, members of Parliament resolved in a committee of supply also considered the budgetary allocations for the Ministry of Public Works. Now, several agencies, several big projects under this ministry and this agency, and what we really see is the opposition spending a lot of time that they've saved in other agencies and other ministries to really grill the Minister of Public Works, one Edgell. And some of the big things coming out of the questioning was Minister Edgell announcing that the government had set aside, I think, 2.6 billion. And what that is really going towards is the construction of high-rise, multi-story complex that will now house the ministries and their agencies. And the first ministry that they are looking at is really the Public Works Ministry. So what you're really going to find is all the agencies such as MARAD and probably the Civil Aviation Authority, along with the ministry, coming under one roof in this high-rise building. And the minister announced that this sort of model will be duplicated. We also saw the minister talking about a 200 million annual spending on the UN House. The UN House is really the complex that houses the 5 UN agencies that has a presence in Guyana. And he's talking about a more cost-effective and energy-efficient housing. And the government is really looking to build a complex on a plot of land owned by the government to house those agencies. So we will also see the phasing out of that rental arrangement. But of course, contractual obligations, the government will have to look at that before the government does that. But like I said, big projects, of course, we have the major highways, we have the new Demerara crossing. But of particular importance, the minister talked about monies in the budget that would deal with road upgrades throughout the entire country. And I think as citizens, we're all interested in what's happening in our community. So he talked about how 600 million has been set aside to really do main roads in communities all across the country, in regions all across the country. And Vishani, you also looked at another agency after they broke from lunch, the Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Commerce.
Right, Kurt. So coming out of the Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Commerce, and just bouncing off of what you just said, something that a lot of people would be interested in is the $300 million allocation that has been made for the Small Business Development Fund. And according to the subject minister, this will actually allow some 800 small businesses to really access financing to sort of get their businesses off the ground, expand their businesses for those who are already in operation, and sort of also benefit from training to develop themselves and their businesses moving forward. This, of course, ties into the wider agenda to push small business development. But of course, she also mentioned that sums of monies have been allocated and of course approved for her ministry to, in her words, sort of push the brand of Guyana. So tourism and pushing Guyana's tourism product has been a big thing in the diversification of the economy. And Minister Waldron has said that the allocations approved for her will actually help her do just that.
We are targeting this at the Small Business Bureau, 800 grants with this amount. Last year, in 2021, we achieved our targets. I believe, being told that this is the first time the Small Business Bureau has actually been able to achieve its targets for grant distribution.
Vishani, quickly before we go, tomorrow we will enter day 3 of the consideration of estimates. I know the government and the opposition is hoping to wrap up by Thursday, but it seems like they will go beyond Thursday. How has it been for you so far?
Kurt, I can tell you for me personally, I think it's been quite interesting really seeing the members of parliament dissect all of these allocations for the various sectors. You know, some of the things that weren't mentioned in the finance minister's more than 5-hour-long speech really comes out in these estimates. You really get to understand what are the projects and where these large sums of money are going to exactly. How's it been for you?
I'd say much of the same.
Yeah.
Thank you, and join us again right here for the wrap-up of the consideration of the budget estimates.